What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It is September 3rd, 2024. I'm Trey. That's Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Good, buddy. Got a fun show. We're talking about the new migrant panic. That's that they have apartments and walk around them, kind of. It's
Hmm.
gonna be fun. It's actually this is one of those ones where it's hard to get to the bottom of the reality of it because they've successfully muddied reality so much. But we're gonna talk about that in a second. The Before we get to the show, a couple stories I want to talk about. Mark Robinson, our old buddy, Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, who's running for governor. Super MAGA guy.
Right.
He like
Yeah.
likes to quote Hitler.
Yeah. He's a
Thinks
he's a very MAGA-y black guy, right? He's a
right, yeah.
black lieutenant governor of North Carolina who's super conservative in a very insane way.
Yeah, like he like thinks people that get abortions to get the death penalty, even though he's openly admitted he paid for an abortion.
Hmm.
But it got a fun new story. So apparently he used to be a regular old pervert like us.
Hmm.
He liked to frequent porn shops.
Yeah.
The details of the story are pretty hilarious, because the guy who works in this. We'll get to this guy. His last name's Money. We'll call him Money. He used to work in his porn store and said that Robinson would come in 5 nights a week to watch porn in a video booth. He would watch
Now,
two
do you know
different.
when this was? Oh, this was in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Because to me, it's like, that's some real dedication, leaving the house to watch porn 5 nights a week. You know what I mean? But it
Uh,
was back then. But they still had. I mean, he had a VCR, he had VHS. I'm assuming there must have been something more they had to offer. But I'm not. I'm
right.
not at all surprised by this because I grew up in my dad's video store in
Mm-hmm.
Salina, and behind the curtain in the back
Mm-hmm.
was the
Mm-hmm.
porn section, and it was frequented by deacons and Baptists and Church of Christ, like that type of thing all the time. But it was
Mm-hmm.
always like they couldn't go back there unless they were the only ones in the store. You know what I mean? If they
Mm-hmm.
walk in the store and someone else, because it's a small town, everybody knows each other. They got to act like they're interested in the new Christian Slater movie or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're just shooting the shit with my dad till the other person leaves. Then they can go back to the back and bring out their real selections and get going. So yeah, this makes
Oh,
sense to me. But 5 nights a week is, you know,
that's
that's
it's
dedication.
a
Yeah.
lot of time to spend in a. He's a pretty lonely guy. And the way it's complicated to Robinson's personal narrative is he's supposed to get super saved by Jesus in his 80s. So the economics of this are interesting. So it's $50 to rent to buy a buy a VHS tape, or he could preview it, get a preview for $8. That's what you do, dude. He would do 2 previews a night. He'd bring pizzas and hang out at the porn store because he worked at a pizza place.
Well, it's nice he
And
brought pizzas at
yeah,
least.
bring pizza,
Yeah, right.
and yeah, he watches one first preview, then hang out for a couple hours and go watch a second preview for round two or whatever, right? So, other than saving money, there are other reasons you would watch videos in a booth at a porn store, because a lot of times, there's holes between the stalls,
Yeah, see, we ain't have none of that. All we had
right?
was the tapes. But yeah, that's a whole other
Mm,
level. I mean, yeah, that's like
yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know what he was getting into there. So anyway, Money said he sold bootleg tapes he'd bring in from New York because you couldn't sell the really raunchy stuff in North Carolina. So he would
Hmm.
bring bootleg stuff down from North Carolina and down in North Carolina and sell it to Robinson for $25 a pop. And the reason this story came out now is Money plays in like a garage like metal rock band, and he put out a song called the band's called Trailer Park Orchestra, and they put out a song called "The Lieutenant Governor Owes Me Money," because apparently Robinson still owes him $25 for a porn tape from the early 2000s. Now listen to the song. It's not bad for a bunch of like guys in their 50s rocking out, but like it's just like the fact he would do this. They made a video for it where a guy plays Robinson in like a mask and brings pizza into the porn shop,
Uh-huh.
and he screams, Lieutenant Governor owes me money." So yeah, it's pretty funny. Anyway, he says he liked Robinson personally, didn't agree with his politics, but he said he was a nice guy in the
Well, of
porn
course,
shop.
yeah, he brought pizza, and
Hmm.
everybody likes the guy who brings pizza every time they come
Yeah.
jerk off at the porn star or get glory hold or whatever. One thing that I saw in this story that was funny to me that I had never picked up on before anywhere was like Robinson was a patron of two different porn stores in particular.
Hmm.
One of them was called Gents, like gentlemen, Gents Video and News, and then also I-40 Video and News.
Hmm.
And it's just funny. He's like, I don't know what the news thing is about. You know what I mean? He's like, no, I'm there for the news. That's where I get my news is the porn store. Like, what's this? All the latest news and gaping anuses or whatever.
Right.
I didn't know that porn stores often employed and news
I
at the
my
end of
get
their thing.
My guess what's going on there is North Carolina probably bans the sale of pornography unless it's in a bookstore or something.
Right.
So you sell a few news magazines and you like, it's like how, like, where I grew up, like, selling sex toys was illegal, but you could buy vibrators and Spencer's Gifts that were called muscle massagers.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Loophole.
Yeah. So this is a pretty hidden quote when this section on this. He was talking about his preference in videos. He said, "I know he might have problems with gay people, but I don't think he has problems with lesbians." So.
Yeah. Well, again, pretty standard. I feel like in my experience, not all that surprising. Dude, I had a Christian conservative girl that I went to school with once. She defended that mentality to me. Like she was like, "No, it ain't the same thing." That's what she said. And I was like, "How is it not the same thing?" And this is what she said. She was like, "Because two women, they can't do anything to each other that a man can do." That's what she said. That's what that was the Christian rationale I was presented with from this girl once. She was like, "That's what makes it different." Because a man obviously he can, you can go up to pooper, right? And a woman can't do that without the use of any kind of accoutrement. But women, they can't do that. And that's why it's a lesser form of gay if you're a hardcore Southern Christian. I'm just reporting the news here. It's just me reporting the news. It's what I was told.
Right.
Yeah. So
do
with that as you will.
Yeah. One other story we talked about the astronauts being stuck on the space station last week. Got an important update. The astronauts are hearing a weird noise coming from the Boeing Starliner, which is still they're going to bring the Boeing Starliner back on Friday, theoretically. So on Friday, we'll find out whether they would have died or not.
Right, yeah, they're bringing it back unmanned. They're just sending it back, without them on it. Right.
So they've been hearing weird noises on the Starliner. And if you got this, Butch Wilmore, radio mission control, to let them know he was hearing these strange sounds. They hopped on the radio, and the communication between Wilmore and Houston was captured and posted on the NASA space flight forums. If you want to hear this sound, this is what they're hearing on the space station.
Dude, no way. That means space is exactly as terrifying as Hollywood has presented it to be over the years. You know what I mean? Because that is a comically similar sound that you would hear in a claustrophobic space station horror film. You know what I mean? It's wild that they're actually up there hearing that right now. I know they're not being presented with it all the time, but I picture them just trying to jog on the space treadmill or read a magazine or something, and that's just you know what I mean? And it zooms in on their eyes, and they're clearly losing their minds as this sound keeps repeating. That's what I envision in my head.
Yeah, it's just so funny. The only way Boeing could have fucked this up more is if they'd accidentally packed a xenomorph egg on this fucking thing.
Right,
face huggers are just running amok on the fucking space station. So NASA says that the pulsing sound is from a speaker in the Starliner spacecraft. It's the feedback. The audio configuration between the Starliner, the space station, other spacecraft that are attached to it, all the speakers are supposed to coordinate, and when they fuck up, you get reverberation and feedback, and they say that's what's happening. But that definitely sounds like a ghost's heartbeat, and I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. This is Weekly Skews. Producer Matt is with us. Before we continue, I want to remind y'all of a couple of things. First of all, if you'd like to see me do stand-up live and in person, and you should want to do that, go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out my upcoming tour dates. I'll be in San Antonio this week. Oh, Matt, we got to get a new look at that. We've exhausted this graphic. We're at the very bottom of this graphic. We got to get a new one for y'all. I'll be in San Antonio this week. And then after that, I got Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee, Georgia, a bunch of places coming up. Go to TreyCrowder.com. Come and see me. We're going hard on the road this fall and into 2025. Also on TreyCrowder.com. Look at that. Look at Matt. Look at that. Yeah. Calling an audible, being on top of it. Look at all them dates. There's a bunch I ain't even on there yet either, just so y'all know. I'm going to be coming nearby, statistically speaking, if you're in the contiguous United States. So come see me. Also on TreyCrowder.com, there's a link to me and Corey's book, Round Here and Over Yonder. It's a comedic travel guide throughout these United States and also England and Scotland with our folksy perspective. If you like audiobooks, me and him read the audiobook for this one very dumbly, of course. And right now, I believe it's on sale at Barnes & Noble, so check it out. And lastly, if you enjoy this program and would like to support it, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. Go to weeklyskews.com/more or go to Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. Sign up on there. $5 a month, get access to 2 full-length bonus episodes per month. We just did one last week. We do Q&As. We cover things that happen in between the shows, other things we want to talk about. It's more Skews. That's what it is. It's more Skews per month. Get some more Skews in your life and support the show in the process. Sign up on Patreon. Now, as for the show tonight, as Mark alluded to earlier, hey, it's an election year. It's 2024. You know what that means? Time to gin up some immigration panics out of thin air. If you are the GOP, it's a tried and true method every election year. You know, they got to get particularly worried about what's going on south of the border and what they're sending up here. And right now, they got a brand new headliner in store for everybody. Venezuelans taking over apartment complexes in Colorado. I know that's specific. We'll get into it a little later. But first, we got the Daily Dumbass for you. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, school nurses for not making more money from their highly developed gender reassignment surgery skills. This is Trump.
Things that almost nobody in this room wants, who I think 85-90% of the country doesn't want if they actually agree. But the transgender thing is incredible. Think of it. Your kid goes to school and comes home a few days later with an operation. The school decides what's going to happen with your child. And you know, many of these child's 15.
So, what planet are these fucking people on?
Right.
Like, that your kid goes to school, is gone for 3 days, comes back a few days later having had forced gender reassignment surgery.
Yeah. So I have 2 kids in school. I'm in Southern California. Both of my sons have long hair. All right. If the school ain't involuntary chopped their wieners off already, I don't know how it's happening to anybody. That's all I'm saying. All right. They still got their wieners. Everything's still fine. They didn't just show up one day with a girl's name or whatever. It's insane but this is what, I mean, you know, this is just like with all the shit they say is happening in schools. They're letting them pee in litter boxes and all the stuff. It's just, they just so clearly, literally fabricate things out of nothingness that anyone with any sense has to know is not actually happening. Yet millions of Americans are like, it's a damn shame they're doing that. It's a real shame.
Forget the political or like whatever sociological unreality of it that anybody would do that or like want to do it for any sort of reason. The financial reality of it, like you can't even get people can't get cancer treatments in this country for free, and they're just giving out sexual reassignment surgeries for free. What fucking like how are they paying for this and who's doing it?
Yes, it's like when they used to say. Now fentanyl is different because I guess they use that to stretch lesser drugs further. But when I was younger, you'd be like, you know, you can't smoke weed, you can't buy weed, you can't smoke weed. People are lacing it with cocaine and acid and other things, whatever. And it's like, to what end? For what is that business model? You're just adding hitting drugs to cheaper drugs for no reason. Just like, why would anybody do that? And it's like that times 100 when you talk about medical procedures. Like you can't, you know, a single mom with 3 jobs can't afford to get a knee surgery or whatever, but they'll just turn her daughter into a son against her will, which costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'm sure. Like just because she likes football too much or whatever. Like it's ridiculous.
I guess what we're talking about here is like they're still doing book it, but if you read 10 books instead of getting a personal pan pizza, you get top surgery.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
I used to crush bucket, buddy. Just
I bet you did.
Know, so many personal pan pizzas, bro.
Yeah, me too, buddy. Pizza Hut. You get the plastic basketball. You get the fucking pizza.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Great time.
So this is at a Moms for Liberty event they had in D.C. and it's kind of funny takeaway there because like Trump, these are ostensibly very prim and proper Christian moms, right? I wanted to read this quote here because a reporter asked them because Trump like a day or two before had posted to his True Social account a bunch of memes about Kamala giving blowjobs.
As you do if you're running for president.
Right. And so the reporter showed them these memes, and this woman named Eva Maria Scott, who's from the town I went to college in, Fredericksburg, Virginia, shout out Mary Washington, that was really tacky. He needs to get off the tweets. It's very disrespectful. It's like, yes, like, but like, what he says in public is fake. What he's posted on True Social is his real brain. So I'm not sure what the fuck you got going on there.
Well, dude, even the thing with what you just said, I don't know. I'm not sure what you got going on there. Every now and then, you know, I'd be on Reddit lurking around, and every now and then I'll go on like conservative subreddits just to see what they're on about. And I've seen a lot of them responding to clips of Trump saying something particularly stupid, even by Trump standards, or like the Arlington thing or whatever. And it's a similar type of stance that this lady seems to have, where they're like, look, this is our guy, I'm going to vote for him. But God damn, I wish he'd shut his fucking mouth. Or like what, like if he would just shut up, it would be fine. And it's like, and I feel like you weren't seeing that in 2016. Now these people, they're still going to vote for him, but it does feel like a different vibe to me. They're like, they are becoming tired of him, I think, even though, like I said, they're still going to, stump for him and back him and vote for him. Still, I mean, that means something, I think.
Yeah.
The fact that those people are reaching a point where they're like, God damn, can he not just shut the fuck up?
Yeah, I do love it. God, I wish these motherfuckers would shut the fuck up, but I got to vote for them. It's good that everybody feels that way. It's just like the two-party system, baby.
Yes, right. I was thinking a similar thing before you said that. Like, I mean, I felt that way before. Like, but yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it's not just like this whole, this particular panic feels like Japanese soldiers still in the jungle fighting World War II in like 1973, because they've already, like, no one cares. We've been through years of this, and it didn't work as an electoral strategy in 2020 and 2022. It's not going to work this year, but they're still doing it. Like Moms for Liberty, for example, only raised $150,000 this cycle, and they spent 90% of it on overhead. They're spending like $12,000 on actual election influence. They're nothing. That's like a rounding error in a national election. They just had school board elections in Florida, and DeSantis' hand-picked candidates got their fucking shit rocked. Let me post the numbers for you. 11 of the 23 candidates he endorsed appeared to have lost their races, while 6 won and 6 headed to November runoffs. So he's batting less than 500 in Florida school districts where the governor personally intervened to campaign. Like, this shit doesn't fucking work. I don't know what they're trying to do. In Sarasota, a woman named Karen Rose, who's endorsed by DeSantis, lost, and a guy named Tom Edwards, who DeSantis particularly targeted, it just was like, it was a, let me quote here, it was a public refutation of the conservative school board majority. 2 years ago, Sarasota elected a 4-1 conservative school board majority. Now they just ousted their chairwoman. And Edwards won re-election despite being one of 14 Florida school board members targeted by DeSantis as someone he wanted to run out of office. He'd been the target of homophobic attacks as a school board member, once causing him to walk out of a meeting in protest of the rhetoric and file for re-election the next day. If they can't beat this guy,
right,
this shit doesn't fucking work. So, I don't know how long they're going to keep doing this shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. It feels like, and I don't know if this is what it is, but it feels like it's like when they come through with the way they frame things or whatever, and it's like when it comes to education and school board, they put in, just moms and dads, parents who are not overly political, very suburban, they're not that into politics, they hear things or whatever, and they say shit like, they're assigning pornography in English class. They're doing this type of shit, whatever. And people are like, well, oh no, that's not good. Right. But then it's like, but then you give them more time, you give them more rope to hang themselves, basically. Like you go along with them for a minute, you put them in the spotlight or whatever. And before long at all, they illustrate how clearly insane they are. You know what I mean? It's like the more time you give them, the more clearly they show you how fucking nuts they are. And I feel like a lot of regular just meat and potatoes Americans see that on a local level and we're like, well, I mean, that ain't it. I'm not into all that shit.
There's also, like, I think we talked about the woman in Texas who basically ran for school board on a we got to get porn out of school libraries kick. And then she got in there and she started reading the books that people were calling pornography. And she tried to report back, hey, guys, don't worry, it's actually fine. And then she started getting the death threats. Like, she's part of the deep state pedophile ring or whatever now. It's just like, there's no bottom to this. But, like, this makes me think, like, usually I think, like right-wing race baiting or these moral panics are kind of fake. Like, they don't really believe in them. They just think they're electorally useful to, like, gin up the rubes. But this doesn't gin up the rubes. I think they truly just feel the hate and have to let it out because it's not electorally useful to them. But, like, they can't even keep their other culture war shit straight anymore. Like, Trump, if you need a clear sign that Trump's losing or thinks he's losing at least, this headline fucking killed me. Trump says he wants to make IVF treatment free as president. Now, Republicans don't believe in making any sort of healthcare thing
Of course,
free.
it's socialism. That's what I'm saying. It's like, not only do I love it enough to be socialist about it, everybody. That's what I'm going to do.
Right. But, like, he doesn't know. JD Vance went on TV this weekend and was like, well, I don't know any Republican who wants to ban birth control or IVF. And like Jake Tapper was like, do you want me to read you names? And then JD Vance said, well, nobody with a brain anyway. I'm like, you just called your entire base brainless. And like, because it's, I don't even understand why Axios would run this headline this way, because the headline's a lie. I know he says it, it's technically not a lie, but like, he doesn't, anybody who's been alive for more than a day and a half knows this is a fucking lie. Mm-hmm. He's just pandering. Like he's gonna be offering like what is the hack thing for when kids want to win school
participation trophies or
no it's like when you run for school president, being like, we're gonna have pizza every day. Like he's gonna promise national pizza every day by the end of this month. And this doesn't even this didn't hit for his base. Like I saw like Eric Erickson, who's like a conservative, he's a moron, but a thought leader.
I know. I did. One of the times I was on Bill Maher, he was on it with me.
Okay.
Eric Erickson.
So, I apologize for insulting your buddy, but I will say he's an idiot.
That's fine.
So,
I don't think we hit for each other. It's okay.
So he was posting about how most of my conservative friend text threads are angry at Trump about this IVF stance, because he also flip-flopped an abortion 4 times over the weekend, because he was asked repeatedly how he was going to vote on Florida's constitutional amendment to overturn their 6-week abortion ban, and every time he answered it, people got mad at him.
Right.
And because he doesn't understand evangelicals or people that actually believe in religion. He doesn't understand their opposition to it or why, so he can't he thinks he can pander to the left on this and hope they believe him, but he won't, because he'll lose the right on it, because these are people who sincerely believe discarded embryos have human souls.
Right.
It's non-negotiable for them.
Right.
Right? I think they're wrong. I think it's stupid. I think IVF is good, but they do not. And you cannot negotiate with them on it. It's like, okay, well, we're only going to kill half as many babies. It's not a position. It's not.
Right.
It's not.
Well, this is kind of it's kind of wild, because it's this is Trump experiencing a smaller version of the larger problem he's put upon the entire Republican Party. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where it's they want to be reasonable about a thing, but they cannot, because of the base that they've courted or who they've tied themselves to. Do you know what I'm saying? They have no choice. But they can't win without the lunatics, but they don't want to be lunatics about everything, because it's not a winning proposition overall, but that leaves you with nowhere else to go. And it's they've dug their own grave, and they dug it with Trump, but it's kind of poetic seeing Trump doing a microcosm of that same thing within his own campaign right now.
Yeah, it's also the Silicon Valley right wingers they've invited in, like Peter Thiel and Elon. These guys call themselves pro-natalist, meaning they just want to outbreed the Southern Hemisphere. Like Elon has 12 kids. That the guy who runs Telegram just got arrested in France literally has 100 biological children. All right, Jesus. You cannot exaggerate how crazy these guys are about spreading their seed. All right, so they're super in favor of this because they're right-wing psychos, but they're not religious.
Right.
Right. So they think Elon was like, this would be cool if the government paid for everybody to have IVF.
Right.
Because he's a moron who doesn't understand anything about politics or believing in anything. So it's just this whole situation is what Republicans used to do is just not talk about IVF. Mm-hmm. Right. It'd be yes, I know that hardcore 20% of my base hates this and thinks a bunch of babies are being murdered, but most sane people don't think that. It's not a popular issue for us, so I'll just shut the fuck up. But Alabama went and outlawed it for a second. Mm-hmm. So they had to take a stance. Now they have a lot for it. They made their own supporters angry. It's just a pretty hilarious situation, assuming they lose. If they win, it's not funny at all. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, boy, ain't that the truth about so many things. Mm-hmm. Moving on, our honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is the deep state for not even being able to get away with covertly following Tulsi Gabbard around the airport.
Most recently, I can point to my own experience of this, of how the Harris-Biden administration have added me to a secret domestic terror watch list the very day after Kamala Harris was endorsed by Joe Biden, and I was on TV and warning the American people about what I saw as the dangers of a Kamala Harris presidency, taking action that was clearly political retaliation. They've done this to a lot of different people.
So pause it for a second. So look how confused the reporter is here.
Right.
So I want to unpack why she's confused, because this is a deeply hilarious situation, because I've never said this before, but Tulsi Gabbard is not completely wrong here. All right. I don't think that she's right about the timing that she was added to this list right after Biden endorsed Kamala and she criticized it. I think she's probably been on this list for a long time. Are you familiar with Quiet Skies, Trey? I'm
not. No.
All right, it's a pretty hilarious example of a moronic panopticon that we all live in, where we're all surveilled all the time. But this one's so dumb, no one wants to be doing it, including the deep state / national security people who are in charge of doing it. All right, it's basically a busy work program for sky marshals. Basically, an algorithm will flag people who are air traveling because of their patterns of travel or whatever, or probably because they're Muslim or brown or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then an air marshal will be assigned to follow them around the airport. That's all it is. They've never done anything. It's never accomplished anything. Air marshals hate doing it. They go openly complain about having to do it because their jobs are boring enough. They're paid to fly on airplanes. And now instead of just watching a movie while they secretly have a gun on them in case the plane gets hijacked, they have to take notes while they watch someone's behavior. We'll get to what they're watching for in a second. So what happened is recently a whistleblower came forward to Sonia Lobesco, the executive director of the Air Marshal National Council, which is basically like a advocacy group for federal air marshals. We got too many federal agencies. So these whistleblowers say that Tulsi Gabbard has been following. She's been followed around the airport by a team of 2 explosive detection canine teams, 1 transportation security specialist who specializes in explosives, a plainclothes TSA supervisor, and 3 federal air marshals on every flight she boards.
That whole team on every flight she boards?
Yes.
What?
That's what the whistleblower is saying. Now, this whistleblower this report went to a right-wing, sort of gossip rag, but I don't have any reason to disbelieve it because it seems to be some substance behind it. Because it's just so stupid. It's a stupid thing to make up because Tulsi Gabbard's not going to hijack a plane. That's not the problem with Tulsi Gabbard. All right. Right. So the Quiet Skies started in 2012. Again, like I said, air marshals have complained about having to do it because you're following harmless people around and you have to take notes on their behavior. And according to what they're looking for, what they're making notes about is whether the person they're following has, quote, excessive sweating, a cold, penetrating stare, wide open, staring eyes, face touching. You can be a federal watch list for excessive face touching. Look, they keep track of how much they sleep during a flight, how much they use a smartphone. Oh, no. And whether or not they're engaged in excessive fidgeting.
Oh, Jesus. I'm going to Guantanamo, dude. I fly all the time. Fucking face touching, sleeping, smartphone, fidgeting.
Yeah.
God damn, if I'm on Quiet Skies, I'm surprised they ain't wrangled me up already. But yeah, no. What don't hit about this to me is that it's like, don't give Tulsi Gabbard any kind of credence for anything. You know what I mean? Like, don't do this to her. Like you said, she's not going to hijack it. Like you said, that's not the problem with her. This just gives her some kind of ground to stand on, which don't hit for me because I mean, this would be wild to anybody experiencing this, no matter how crazy they are. Like
this probably won't be the first time I quote. It won't be the last time I quote Tony Soprano on tonight's episode because we're talking about organized crime a little bit. But like, what constitutes a fidget?
Right.
What constitutes a fidget? So it's like the only 50 people are on this list as far as numbers I can find. 50 people in the planet are followed around airports by U.S. air marshals, and one of them is Tulsi Gabbard. And the wingnuts are on this like it's like uncovered like Abu Ghraib or something. It's like the whole reason air marshals are against this is because it doesn't accomplish anything and it's boring. And Tulsi Gabbard didn't even know she was being persecuted. The whole thing is fucking stupid. It's just. I hate it.
Yeah, no, it is stupid. It don't hit for me. Speaking of not hit for me, as we said, new migrant panic just dropped. Mark, walk us through it. What's going on out here in these streets?
All right. Do you remember when MS-13 was going to destroy America?
Yes.
A couple years ago? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, apparently MS-13, I guess, failed or we just forgot about it. But now we got a new MS-13 called Tren de Aragua. Let's watch this report in Fox News, and then we'll talk about what it is.
Councilwoman Durinsky, who has been amazing. My first conversation with her, she said, "Do you still live there?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "I'm going to get you out of there."
Wow. So
she said, "I'm going to make it my work."
So you're singing her praises. In the meantime, the office of Governor Jared Polis is saying she's making all of this up. Listen to what his spokesman said. According to police intelligence, this purported invasion, I guess, of these apartment buildings is largely a feature of Danielle Jurinsky's imagination. What do you say to that?
You can't fake video and Polis
Right.
wouldn't last 5 minutes on that
You pause
property.
it, Matt. So you see that video in the background is the source for all of this. It's this one woman's series of ring cams she set up around an apartment building. And the whole right-wing media machine is fucking all over this. New York Post, Fox News, Newsmax, Libs of TikTok. This is going to be like their big thing for at least a week or two. And I think what they're trying to do is to prime the pump in the hopes that a Venezuelan will kill somebody somewhere and they can try to connect all this and turn it into like an election swinging sort of thing.
Right.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
So, I mean, I straight up need you to clarify. You know, you can walk through it however you want to, but yes, I've seen these ring videos, and you see people. You see, you know, youngsters with guns walking up and knocking on doors and all this, and there's a large number of them, and they have guns and shit like that, and it's purported to be this migrant gang that's like forcibly taking over an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. So, like,
Right.
that's
What
the story. So, what actually is happening here, Mark? Like, they are there, they do exist. Like, what are they doing? What is happening?
Near as I can tell, they're walking around the hallways of this apartment complex carrying a bunch of guns.
I mean, that don't hit. I don't like that.
It doesn't. But also, Colorado is an open carry state.
Right.
So what are you gonna do? That's really what this boils down to. Is like white guys carried around guns, A-okay. Brown guys carried around guns, society-wide problem, right? Now, it doesn't mean like I wouldn't want people walking around the halls of my apartment building carrying guns either,
Right?
Right? That seems scary and frightening, and it would not hit for me. But as far as figuring out what's actually happening here, because I saw a video from some guy who lives in the area, is like, oh, what they're doing is basically they're charging the other occupants rent. They're basically charging protection money.
Yeah,
to live
right.
there.
Yeah, classic gangster stuff. You go into a
Right.
store and you're like, yeah, I'll protect you. You got to pay me this money. If they don't pay you, then you break their fucking kneecaps. But if they do pay you, you protect them, and it's like you're protecting them from, you know, yourself, basically. So like that,
Right.
So that's what they're doing. They're charging people like, hey, we're your new security force. We demand you pay us X amount of money.
Well, here's the thing. The cops and the tenants say that's not it.
Okay.
So, like, again, getting to the bottom of what's actually happening here is very, very difficult because the reality has been muddied so much. But again, the cops say that's not what's happening. It's just this one lady who's made this a national story. Her name, and I don't want to judge her. She's moved out. Like, the city councilwoman helped her find a new place to live. Her name's Cindy Romero. So good for her for moving out. She doesn't want to be there. But here's me quote from her. I'd seen several individuals carrying assault weapons down to the next floor of the building adjoining mine and reported to the police. They said they really couldn't do anything unless something happened. Yes, again, it's an open carry state. Walking around with a gun is legal.
Right.
I don't think it should be because it is scary.
Right.
And it's implicitly threatening. That being said, call your state legislator to change the law because otherwise they're just being Venezuelan.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right. So God, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. So Denver Post editorial made the point that the videos of men armed with semi-automatic long guns and pistols are unnerving, but they'd be unnerving regardless of the race or nationality and the immigrant status of the wielders. Right. For most of us, it'd be scary no matter their skin color. But why is Fox News covering this?
Right.
Because if they were, it was Oath Keepers protesting something with a bunch of long guns, they'd say they'd pull them up as heroes. Right.
Right.
So
See, but that's kind of where I was just assuming, again, seeing the video, clearly they're there, they're doing something. It doesn't seem overly wholesome. Like that ain't good that this is happening. It's not a good thing. Obviously it is like a problem, but using it to like further the narrative of this, you know, endless flood of supervillain migrants coming over the border or whatnot is also bullshit or can be bullshit. You know what I mean? Like bad things happen, but using it to like serve a narrative, even if it's an isolated incident that's all fucked up. There's stuff that happens in neighborhoods all around cities, all around this country that's fucked up and ought not happen. But this one is like politically convenient in terms of what Fox News is trying to get people to think. That's sort of where my head went with it.
They're starting a narrative, and what I'm wondering is why and to what end. I mean, obviously, rage and hate clicks is part of it,
right?
Content, but like to the general political project, what's the point of it? Because you've got the story about an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. Aurora, by the way, is a suburb of Denver, has about a little less than 400,000 people in it, and like, why is this of national import? And what constitutes a takeover of an apartment complex?
Right.
Right. What do you mean by that? Are they running it? But the landlord's a villain here too. We'll get to them in a second. But let's talk about like who Tren de Aragua are, because I had never heard of them, and I consider myself like a connoisseur of cartel and gang violence. And I was like, what?
Out.
Yeah. So it's not like they don't do crimes. That's what a gang is for. So I mean, protect your neighborhood, but also make a little money on the side if you can by controlling it, right? So like they do, like for example, one of the things that's floated up is like they robbed jewelry stores in Colorado. Okay, well there was a jewelry store robbed in Colorado by 4 guys. One of them was a member of Tren de Aragua, and he was caught in Texas. All right, so I wonder why I'd never heard of them. Tren de Aragua means Aragua train, by the way. Aragua is a state in Venezuela. This gang has 5,000 members total worldwide, according to the U.S. State Department. All right, and they typically do normal gang shit, you know, selling drugs and guns, a little bit of human trafficking, that kind of stuff. I was trying to figure out what, like, okay, if they're a big deal, what have they been up to in America? And the only stories I could find about them, like in Chicago, sometimes analysis found that shoplifting and domestic violence arrests. So what Tren de Aragua was up to in America is shoplifting and, you know, domestic violence, which doesn't hit. But in New York City, a couple of thefts. They committed a couple of thefts. So this is like our world-ending threat here, is people shoplifting. All right.
Right.
Nevertheless, in July of this year, the Treasury Department, the White House, announced sanctions against the gang and designated a transnational criminal organization. And if you have any information about the gang, the State Department's offering $12 million for information that would lead to the capture of their leaders. So let's all get on that. Let's get a cut of that money. This panic, by the way, is already franchising. There's lunatics already saying that they've taken over an apartment complex in Chicago. Again, what the fuck does taking over mean? I saw like one influencer say, this is coming to a city near you. Like this gang of 5,000 people is going to conquer the United States one apartment complex at a time. All right. And again,
there's definitely there's definitely already apartment complexes and neighborhoods all around this country, right, that are like kind of controlled by criminal enterprises, I'm assuming, where like people, you know what I mean? And they like,
yeah,
you know, like some of the Wire shit, whatever. It's like, but it's like, that ain't cool with me. But the fact that that exists does not mean that it's like, if they're black gangs, it doesn't mean that it's like, you know, black neighborhoods need to be cracked down on. Do you know what I mean? Like there's some like major systemic problem with black America right now. And you can tell because this is happening in Baltimore or wherever. And it's like the same thing applies to this. And, you know, immigrants, South American immigrants, you know, legal, illegal, and otherwise. It doesn't mean anything about their whole migrant panic shit necessarily, even if it is true and a problem.
One thing that drives me crazy is we don't have any way to talk about something that's a problem without like either something's not a problem at all,
right,
or it's like the world's worst problem.
Exactly.
It's like we don't nothing's ever covered. Like, wow, well, somebody ought to look into this and fix it.
Like, yeah, this is bad. This is bad.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be a thing. But it's like, but again, it's like, build the fucking wall, kick them all out, and it's like that's the nuclear option. It's like that.
Literally,
that's not what
I think they would literally nuke this apartment complex from space if they could. Right.
Right.
Like it's like what like I haven't seen. We'll get to the cops and stuff in a second. But so like I want to read this quote from the Denver Post editorial I was reading from a second ago. Talking about who the bad actors are here. Is that others, like the owners of an apartment beset with crime in Aurora, are using the gang as a scapegoat for the unsanitary, unsafe, and unhealthy conditions of their apartments that were condemned by the city this month. So basically, the landlord has become a slumlord, let this place fall into such disrepair that the only people left living there are people that the cops don't give a fuck about, and then they blame the residents that are still left for a few bad actors harassing them and making their lives less happy. Right? So like, today, the tenants who live in this apartment complex had to call a press conference. You got this photo up, Matt. Tenants at an Aurora, the quote from a reporter I was reading from on the ground in Colorado. Tenants at an Aurora apartment complex thrust into the national spotlight by claims of a gang takeover or holding a press conference disputing much of the narrative that has been spread by the far right, placing blame for long-standing issues on an absentee landlord. So the people that live there are saying Tren de Aragua is not the main problem here, guys. Our landlord fucking sucks.
Right, yeah. It's like, no, fuck, we're not worried about this. The HVAC's been out for 6 goddamn months. Why don't you investigate that?
Right.
You can't get a toilet fixed for fucking nothing around here, but you're worried about these, you know, evil Venezuelans or whatever.
It's like the fact that this can like this is like the dying embers of something, because like what comes next is like if they can turn this apartment complex having a bad landlord into a national story about immigration and gangs, from a gang that barely exists, that doesn't really get up to much bad stuff in America, that is a reason to build the wall or whatever. Like they won't even need this pretty soon. They just do it with AI and deepfakes, and we'll be completely detached from reality. That's the part that fucking scares me.
Right. Yeah.
So no one cares about the fucking truth of this anymore. And like the mayors of Aurora and Denver, because Denver's implicated in this too, because they try to say there were apartment complexes in Denver who've been taken over by this gang, and let's watch this video of the two mayors doing it. We showed the clips from this reporter before. He generally is good, so let's watch this clip.
Because it plays into a lot of the national headlines that we're seeing. When you hear, gang has taken over an apartment complex, that can mean different things to different people, right? There's taken over in terms of Aurora police can't go there. And then there's taken over in terms of they're shaking residents down for money and scaring people and that kind of thing. If I hear you correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying it's not a takeover in the sense that it's a no-go zone for APD, but that they are exerting control over the residents in a way that is unacceptable or illegal.
Correct, yeah.
That's fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Any apartment complexes in Denver where you believe that's happening?
We do not have that.
Okay.
All right, so
because it plays into a lot of the national...
The first guy talking, the older guy with gray hair, is the mayor of Aurora, right? The second guy is the younger guy. Like, he's just like, nope, not a problem in Denver, fuck it. All right, so, like, Aurora's mayor is Mike Kaufman. He's a pretty standard Republican who used to be in Congress. He says a lot of anti-immigrant stuff, but speaks Spanish, so it comes across as not as mean, all right? Like, he said anti-Trump stuff in Congress, but he always voted with Trump. He was an Obama birth certificate guy, all right? So the fact he's having a mayor has to deal in reality. A congressman doesn't, because you have to manage shit. So the fact he's had to get up there and be like, actually, this is made up psychotic bullshit is deeply funny to me, because this is the base he cultivated. The people going crazy like this on the right are the same ones he pandered to win elections in the past.
Yes. I fully agree with all that, but as far as what he just said, like, I'm still a little bit confused, because it's like the way the journalist framed it, it's like, what you're saying is this is not a no-go zone for Aurora PD, which means the cops, they go there. They're still policing. They do go there. But this gang is there exerting undue influence on the people that live there. And it's like, I don't understand how, like, that don't make sense to me. It's like they haven't taken it over, like, and put up barbed wire around it. And it's like cops can't go there or they'll get shot. But they are there doing uncool things. But that still just keeps happening. Is it because the cops just don't give a fuck? Is it like, do you know what I mean? Like what? Like if cops can go there, but bad shit is happening, what are the cops doing? Just cop stuff? Just like it's like you said, it's like it's not technically illegal, so who gives a fuck type of thing? Like
Like what do you like? Okay, you're Aurora Police Department. All right, a lady calls you, says, "I see a guy with a gun." You're like, "Well, is he shooting anybody?" And you're like, "No." Like, well, open carry is legal. Call us if he does something. Like, it's like, cops like any other fucking, they're like me. They're lazy. They don't want to do something unless they have to. Right. So, like, here's a video from the cops. The interim police chief had to do this video press release standing in front of the apartment building that's allegedly been taken over by Venezuelan migrant gangs right there behind her while she talks peacefully into a camera.
I stopped by here at 12th and Dallas. Got quite a few of our officers out here that are out here tonight again. I've been out here for several weeks, making contacts with our residents, reassuring them about the criminal activity that's happening here and how we're going to address it. We're out here, we want to reassure the people that live in this community that we are actively investigating criminal activity that's happening and listening to them to so that we can learn anything that we're missing. You know, what are we missing, and actually find out what exactly is going on.
All right.
We're out here.
Dude, this is weird.
Right. We're 3 degrees removed from reality.
Right. I don't understand what the fuck is going on, man.
Nobody does.
Okay. All right.
They've muddied so much bullshit, no one can figure out what's happening.
Okay.
Do you understand? Right. No one does that, but like people were in the comments of that video being like, that's not the same building. This is a total deep fake. This is a lie. Like, it's like, why the fuck would she lie about being at 12th and Dallas? Right. What is the angle in it? Why would a police department want to do propaganda for a Venezuelan street gang? Right. What is fucking going on in people's heads? They want to believe so deeply that Joe Biden is partnered with a Venezuelan drug gang to harass residents of an apartment building in Aurora, Colorado, that no amount of reality can penetrate the situation to where anyone can figure out what the fuck is going on. So if you wonder, like, if anybody's worried about reality anymore, crime in Aurora they saw a huge spike in 2020 like the rest of the country did, but it's been falling consistently, okay? Aurora motor vehicle theft rate fell by 24% between 22 and 23. They had 11.6 reduction in property crime overall, while violent crime declined by 14.5%. All right? So what's happened here is a large influx of migrants have moved into the Denver metro area, about 40,000 people. It's become more brown, and people are panicking about it. All right? 40,000 people in the Denver metropolitan area is a drop in the bucket, but Aurora's population has become like significantly more Latino over the last decade or so. All right? So I think that's part of it. Anyway, but in case you're worried if anything is wrong there, the right-wing internet was going crazy saying that the Hells Angels were riding to the rescue. All right? There were a bunch of old videos from like 2013 set to like rock and roll music of the Hells Angels. Like, oh, they're on their way to Aurora to fight fucking...
Yeah. It's like a white dude with a beard on a Harley while Freebird plays. And like, here comes the cavalry. And it's like, that guy's a fucking meth-addicted human trafficker who abuses children and shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like the Hells Angels, they're just a white gang. That's all they
Right.
are. Like they
Right. They're just
they
they're
do the
just
same
white.
shit.
They're white Tren de Aragua.
Right.
Right. So why are they the heroes? We know why. It's because they're white.
Yeah, right.
But like they're like I can't, like, the right wing love for the Hells Angels is deeply hilarious to me, because the only good thing I can think of biker gangs doing like in a recent memory is they would go like, because remember the shitty church in Kansas that would harass soldiers.
Westboro Baptist?
Westboro Baptist. Yeah, they would show up to troop funerals and beat up members of Westboro Baptist Church, because a lot of them are veterans. And I thought that was super cool. Do more shit like that, Hells Angels. But so a bunch of viral claims that the Hells Angels and the Mongols were going to Aurora to, I don't know, dispense vigilante justice to these teenagers or something. Again, if we're talking about whatever's going on in this apartment building, probably concerns a maximum of 10, 15 people, I'm guessing. Like, I'm talking about the bad actors here, the gang members. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like me and you would have a decent shot in a street fight. These are 120-pound teenagers, right? So, it's like, anyway, what you're wondering what the reality is, there is a big Hells Angels, like, rally somewhere in the region. They're not going to Aurora, because, they don't give a fuck about others, because they're a fucking gang. All right, but the right wing imagination, they're like a mix of the Justice League and the Rotary Club, just touring the nation, doing like the A-Team, like setting things right with like noble deeds. And by the way, these things always coincide with the right wing news cycles, which I doubt the Hells Angels even watch the fucking news, because they're busy selling crank and doing murder for hire.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
By the way, the last time they were in Colorado, let me quote here from the news article. Members of the group have been involved in previous incidents in Colorado, including a deadly shootout between them and a rival gang in 2020 where a ranking Hells Angels member was killed. So last time they got a big gang fight in Colorado, they lost and one of their guys got killed. So please don't go to Aurora. The idea that this apartment complex would be better off if the Hells Angels took them over is fucking funny to me. I just this is so depressing. Well, I love Cops, Thin Blue Line Flag, also Back to Blue, and we love the Hells Angels. These things don't fit in the same brain to a sane person.
Do you have any idea at all what the demographics of this apartment complex are? Like, it's poor people, obviously, right? It's been condemned, so it's poor people that live here. But like, what kind of poor people? Because I feel like it. I
haven't seen the reporting of it, but it's something I did notice in the picture of the press conference that the residents had. A lot of the signs they were holding up were in Spanish. So but I think what's happening here is probably both the victims and perpetrators are migrants.
Okay.
brown at least.
Why would Joe Biden do this? Do you know what I'm saying? You understand what I mean? It's like you said, like they think that's like, this is the America Joe Biden wants. Like, for what? Why? Like, because they think like the Great Replacement theory, all that stuff. If this was like an apartment building filled with poor white people, and these Venezuelan gang members were taking it over, I could it would still be bullshit, but I could totally see them being like, see, this is what they want. This is what they're doing. But it's like, but it's not. It's, brown people and other brown people or whatever. And I just don't know why. I just don't understand how they.
Well, because they're all going to vote for Joe Biden. Obviously, we're after these 18-year-olds who, after done getting high and catcalling women while holding guns and stealing your catalytic converter to have more weed money, they're going to go register to vote and vote for Joe Biden. Vote for Kamala Harris.
Right.
That's
But
what these people think.
wouldn't
Yeah.
also the people who are living there already, they're also, you know what I mean? They're also the enemy,
Right.
aren't they?
Right.
Like they also, right. That's what I mean. It's like,
Right.
I don't understand how it, like outside of just, this is brown migrants being bad, which is obviously, again, convenient for them. Beyond that, when you like take it further, when you pull on the thread, I don't see how it fits their larger theories about why the Democrats and the Biden administration are for this type of thing or backing this type of thing. You know what I mean?
I think part of what's going on here is like reality. The old canard that like fiction, unlike reality, has to make sense.
Right.
And because these people believe so deeply in fiction, the world has a narrative arc. The world being messy and stupid just makes them uncomfortable, so they make up shit to make it make sense.
Yeah.
The idea that, there's a shitty landlord who let the place fall into disrepair, and, cops don't feel like helping out poor people, so these guys can walk around harassing people and jack people for $20 out of their wallet or break into their cars and steal their radios. It has to be some conspiracy and not just what it looks like, which is some kids running amok because they can.
In a place where they can. Right. Yeah.
Right. It's just like, it's not like, again, I don't know what no one, the cops, reporters, these right-wing psychos has gotten into has figured out what they're actually doing. All we know is this woman made ring cam videos of them walking around the apartment complex, jimmying, trying to open doors while they're carrying guns and shit. And she made a video about how she had like 7 padlocks on her door. But like, that's all anybody knows. But God forbid a Venezuelan who's living in Colorado commits a violent crime before November, this is going to be all anything's about. And it's fucking really annoying to me. And it's already become like a hotbed. Like, okay, so somebody's been walking around Aurora hanging up racist street signs. State and city leaders have been like, why are you doing this? It says like, if you throw up the next image, Matt, should be the picture of what the art is. These have been popping up. It was funny to me because I read this quote and it bugged me, saying they didn't know who was doing it. It was a right-wing influencer who's been publicly doing this in a lot of like blue state cities for like a while now. These are his signature artworks. It says blacks must sit at the back of the bus, Kamala's migrants sit in the front. And it says caution, Kamala's illegals, with like a bunch of people running across, like a deer crossing sign, but human beings, But then I was like, are these people morons? Because all you got to do is have internet access to know the guy who makes these signs. But they said they've already checked and it's not this guy doing it. Somebody probably bought them off his website and hung them all over Aurora and Denver. All right.
It's merch. It's got racist merch or whatever. He's making a lot of money off of. Dude, this is like even the papaws that went to the gas pumps during the height of inflation or whatever and took out a sticker and put it on the gas pump that says, I did that. It's Joe Biden on a sticker. Like even that, I'm like, this is what you do with your time, or like you go out of your way to do that. Even that, I felt that way. But like this, like fucking going up and hanging up street signs in municipalities and shit all around the place, like just being xenophobic and racist. It's like, get a job.
Right.
I mean, fucking find somebody. Go on a date. What the fuck are you doing?
That's what
spending your time on this shit, man.
That's what drives me so crazy about this is how can you complain about the economy being bad when you have time to do this? The economy may be bad in a lot of ways, but it's not bad for you because you have sticker money and a lot of free time.
Right.
What the fuck are you doing? So like not talking about people need these narratives to make sense of reality. All right. I think it's worth mentioning the context here is Aurora is where the cops and paramedics killed Elijah McClain. Do you remember the Elijah McClain case from a couple years ago, from 2019? Yes. He was a 23-year-old black kid. I think he had like learning stuff, so he had a problem communicating with officers. Anyway, he was walking home. He got tackled by cops, and when they tried to paramedics tried to subdue him, they shot him up with a bunch of ketamine, and he went into cardiac arrest and died 6 days later. Mm-hmm. So the police, I have no idea the reality whether these were effective or not, but they tried to do a bunch of reforms. So I'm not taking police word at face value, but the right wingers do. They'll see it as like woke DI pandering to try to do any sort of police reforms. All right. So I think because Aurora prosecuted, I think 3 cops, a couple of firefighters, and a paramedic. They want to make it out like Aurora's become a crime-ridden hellhole because they didn't back the blue,
right,
and let these guys go down for the totally justified execution of a guy via ketamine.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory. Yeah, that definitely checks out. Yeah, got to make them pay for not backing the blue. There's always consequences for not backing the blue, so it does kind of track.
If you're wondering what happened with those prosecutions, by the way, 3 Aurora police officers and 2 firefighters, like I said, went on trial for criminally negligent homicide and assault. The results were a mixed bag. There was convictions for 2 firefighters and one of the officers. Officer Jason Rosenblatt and Nathan Woodyard were acquitted. Woodyard was reinstated as a police officer, but Art Acevedo, who was a chief later on, said that he's going to be on personal leave, and if he ever comes back to work, he'd make sure he's at a desk job. So this is part of the blue isn't back in the blue, Trey.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, well, what a breath of fresh air that is. I've been waiting on the blue to not back the blue for a while now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When the blue does some fucked up shit, the rest of the blue should be the ones at the front of the line trying to correct it, but we all know that that's not how it works. It's brotherhood, it's fraternity. You got to hold that line, and any kind of cracks in that facade, I think, are overall good for the future of American policing, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me quote here from Acevedo. I want to read this because, all anyone's asking from cops is accountability, right?
Right, exactly.
And quote here, we failed Elijah McClain as a department. We failed Miss McClain as a department. We failed our community as a department. But we also failed the officers who encountered him that night. We needed to do better. Thank God, as a result of that tragedy, our men and women are doing phenomenal work. I don't know about that, but the point is, just try to do better.
Right.
Anyway,
the idea that any kind of actual accountability can lead to things can improve. I feel like that's what it was all about. And, the BLM protests and George Floyd and all that. It was there's been no accountability for so long whatsoever. Right. Introduce some accountability and they'll get better, and it's I know they still fuck up a lot, and I'm not going to bat for fucking American cops in general, but it does seem to me anecdotally from afar that it is perhaps improving because it's
they killed more people this year than last. The cops are killing more people every year.
Here, Mark comes, yeah.
No, I'm just telling you the truth. People started counting. It's holy shit, cops kill a fuck ton of people. But the point is when you plug in one department maybe trying to do a little better into this scenario, what you get is Aurora PD's gone woke, and if you hadn't prosecuted those 3 cops, they'd get in this apartment complex and crack some fucking heads, wave the flag, and no more MS-13 or Trenderoga running amok in American cities, because that's our biggest fucking problem, is some teenagers who cops should fucking stop from harassing people or whatever they're doing. We don't know, but they should do their jobs and stop that so normal people can work and live their lives and be left alone by both criminals and cops. So that's all anyone's asking. But this plug and play thing where we turn everything into a fucking nationwide racist panic drives me goddamn insane.
Well, they are really skilled at building these narratives like this. The way you just connected those two things, the idea that that's what they're doing is it's fun. It's I feel again, to anybody who's really paying attention or has any kind of sense, you can see the holes in it, but that's not their demographic. You know what I mean? And for their demographic, these things, dude, they make all the sense in the world. Everything lines up. It makes perfect sense. It goes together. They see the pattern. They see it all.
Every story has one main protagonist, one main antagonist, a clean arc, a hero's journey. And behind it all is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden pulling the strings, and Donald Trump's a good guy fighting the fight. It's sorry, man, reality's stupid. It just is that way sometimes.
Shoo-wee, is it ever? All right, let's see how y'all smash that like button. I feel like I haven't said that in 7 weeks. So yeah, smash that like button, everybody. We appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, tell all your friends, all that good stuff. Go to TreyCrowder.com and check out my upcoming tour dates. Yeah, scroll down there, Matt. We got San Antonio this weekend. I'll be with the very funny Caleb Simon. He's probably going to bury me, but it'll be fun. He's opening for me after that.
Good luck. He's hilarious.
I know. No, he's an old friend of mine, and he's very fucking funny. So, yeah. You're in for a show, San Antonio. And then after that, Michigan and Ohio. I'll be with the lovely Donnie Sing Stack, and we got a bunch of other shows coming up after that. So go to TreyCrowder.com and check those dates out. Also, there you can see a link to me and Corey's book, Round Here and Over Yonder. Check that out as well. And lastly, if you enjoy this program and want to show your support, sign up on Patreon. Go to weeklyskews.com/more, or just go on Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. $5 a month, full-length bonus episodes, 2 of them per month. Get some more Skews in your life. Support the show in the process. Mainly, though, if you keep watching this here show on Skews, we'll keep making it, and we'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.